In this episode, we'll go over the bass note, or low, and a basic snare. Now, there's many different notes, but for now, we're going to go over these two. Before we get into that, however, posture, sitting on the drum. Very important to prevent injury or tired fatigue in your back is that you want a nice, good, upright posture. Shoulders up, chest up, back straight, slightly curved so that we're nice and straight. Some people lean their drum, tilt their drum. They might put one foot slightly back, one foot slightly forward for good control. We don't have to concern ourselves with that for right now. We'll keep it flat on the ground, okay? So the first note will be the bass note. Remember, good posture. I'm going to play with my palm, the palm of my hand, which is going to be the emphasis. Now, that being said, I do play with the whole hand, but every now and then I might lift my fingers up slightly. That's some fine motor skill stuff. We're not going to worry about that. Make sure your whole hand comes down on the drum. But the emphasis of what is actually making the note is the palm, that fleshy part of your hand, okay? So I'm going to come down right around the 2/3 or so upper part of my drum. Every cajon's different. But for a lot of drums, this is going to be the sweet spot, right in here. No need to go all the way down here because eventually that note will become muted. You want a nice, pure bass note. So we're going to come right here, not in the center, not on the other side. I'm using my right hand, right where my right hand would naturally fall, and coming right into the drum. No need to hit it really hard. The harder we hit, sometimes we'll get unwanted notes, okay? And we'll talk about ways to get rid of unwanted overtones, wood tones, or whatnot. But for right now, just not too hard, not too light. Somewhere in the middle for your body where you're coming down and you're getting a nice, pleasant, low bass note. Okay? Notice how my hand is doing this. My posture is still good. Right in there. Okay? Because we want it a little bit off center where your hand naturally falls, because we want to be able to later share space with our other arm, our other hand. Now, that's our bass note. Okay? Again, many different ways to make different bass notes and modulate the sound. But for right now, it's the first bass note. Then our second stroke is going to be our snare. In the future episode, we'll talk about different snares. But for now, we're going to bring our arm, our hand right up, okay? Right up to about halfway of the palm to the top of the drum. If I were to draw a line from the top of the drum across my hand, it will probably go about halfway where my palm is. And I bring my arm up, okay? And bring it right down and let it come down naturally, almost like a whipping motion. And my fingertips whip right on the head of the drum, okay? Now later we'll talk about exercises where we're just using our wrist. But for right now, I want us to practice what I'm going to call this a swimming or digging a trench method, okay? So back to the bass note. Right there, nice, a little off center. Come straight up, hand up, not too hard down, okay? And we're going to play right into that snare. The main issue here is to get a clear difference between sound of the low note, nice pure note, and the high note, okay? Now, here's a great exercise to develop independence or the ability to move around on your drum. We're going to start with one hand, and then I'm going to show you doing an exercise with both arms, both hands, okay? I have a metronome here. If you don't have a metronome and you have a smartphone, you can use the Pro metronome in the App Store on iTunes or Android. Or you can buy a Korg metronome, you can buy a Soundbrenner Pulse, whatever type of metronome it is. Anyways, I'm going to turn this on and start it with a nice, slow tempo. Because we don't want to have a tempo where it's too fast and I'm enforcing mistakes, okay, in my practice. So, nice slow metronome. The first, you can accent the first note. The first note is going to sound like 4, beep. Boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, boop. That first accented note, we're gonna play a bass note, okay? 2, ready, go. Bass, snare, and we're gonna, on every note of the metronome, we're gonna play a stroke on the drum. Right on the first one, we're gonna play bass, then the snare, bass, snare, just that, okay? Now, notice that I'm not doing this. I am going to, it's like I'm digging a hole or reaching down with good posture and coming up. Okay? Now, if we were to exercise both hands, it would look like this. We're going to go left, or I will start with our right hand. Right, left, right, left. Okay? And this exercise will look like this. We'll do it for one, you would do it perhaps just as a suggestion, 1 whole minute, slow tempo, starting off with your right hand, bass note. 4, 2, 3, 4. Bass, bass, snare, snare. Bass, bass, snare, snare. Or low, low, high, high. Notice I'm not using my shoulders. At first you might want to do that. Abstain from doing that and keep your back upright, posture good. And it's like you're digging a trench. Like you're digging doggy paddling, okay? Swimming, all right? Low, low, high, high. Perhaps a whole minute of just doing that at a nice tempo so that you will be able to have practicing good tones, making sure each low note sounds the exact same, each high note sounds the exact same, okay? It's a great exercise to start off. Now, in the next episode, we'll talk more about a different snare note and a couple other techniques and exercises. See you then.